The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, it is just before 10 o'clock and I'm sure that we will have a few people joining us here in the next moment or so. So I appreciate you jumping on. If you can hear me, if I can just have you raise your hand in the box on the right hand side of your screen. It looks like most people can hear me. Vicki, Sharon, Bob, Becky, can you hear me? Britt gets an all-star. She was the first one on the call today. She logged in super early. It looks like most people can hear me, so I am going to go ahead and start. Just a couple things I want to point out. If you have any questions during this webinar, I have you all on mute. And so if you have a question that you'd like to ask, go ahead and type it in the question box and I will answer it as I can during the webinar, and all questions are welcome. My goal is to get through most of the information on drip campaigns, action plans, and tasks, how to schedule them in 30 minutes. That means that it is super fast, and it also, I just want you to know that I am recording this and it will be posted on the YouTube channel and on the Facebook channel by the end of the day today. So you'll be able to go back and revisit. I want to get you all the information in 30-ish minutes, and then I'll have about 30 minutes for questions and answers and how to do that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So when you log into your IQ office, you have something that looks like this dashboard. And we're going to start today with drip campaigns, that email, automating your email and your information to your clients, and where do you begin with that? So we're going to start underneath this marketing tab. And what you do here is you actually can go to your e-marketing, and you have two options. I'm going to show you both so that you know. And we're going to start with just doing saved content. So if you're not ready to create a campaign, but you have a good idea for some content that you want to use in the future, you would go to My Saved Content. And what that does is it opens up your content dashboard. And your content dashboard will look something like this, or there will be a green button that says Create New Content. And you have your personal category or you have your company. So if your company has provided and there's no company content in here, you'll be able to click on your company content and go and see what your company has provided. To add new content, you click on the plus add content button in the upper right hand corner. It will process and it's going to bring up a screen that asks you to select a template. If you want to print content, you're going to select printable content. If you want to email content, you're going to select emailable content. Because we're working on drip campaigns, which is an email trickle campaign to automate your client communications, we're going to choose email content. And as I scroll through here, I can actually see that there's a whole bunch of information. So I can see that there's an agent promotion. I can see that there are cards. I can actually go in and go into the categories, and I can say, hey, I want to find a seller prospect letter or a just listed property flyer, or maybe I want to do some buyer prospecting. And I can go in and I can say, hey, I'm going to choose this content. And now I can go in and I can change the content name. I always like to date the content name so that if I update my bio every year, which you should be doing, I know what year it's from. And then I'm going to add a category and I'm going to say this, call this prospective buyers. The reason for this is now I can go and I can filter for content by category. To edit the content, you simply click on the content and it opens up the edit, and I can then go through and I can edit all this information. Once I edit it, I click OK, I click Save, and then I can click Close. And now I can see this here in my About Me bio. I also can search by content type. So I can go in and I can choose category equals and click search prospective buyer. And there's my About Me letter. So that's how you can search for content. So that is how you can create just content, one-off information that you can use. I'm now going to go into creating a campaign. And the first thing I want to talk about when we're talking about creating campaigns is this. Why would you use them? So why use an email campaign instead of just sending out an email blast to everyone? And for me, there are two reasons. One, you can only send an email blast to 50 people. So if you're sending it to over 50 people, then you have to use an email campaign. There's more than two reasons. I'm going to give you more than two reasons. The second reason is you get statistics on what you're doing. So you can actually see the attempts, and I'm going to open up a different page here just so I can show you some statistics. While that's opening. So all of these boxes over here are statistics on your campaign. So you can see how many attempts you've had, how many clicks you've had, how many people are on the do not send list. You can see all of that information right here. And that's a really big deal. I want to know not only by client who's opening it, but what content's working and what content is not working. Oh, come on, let me log in. I want to show you guys a campaign that we're doing as a company. You're all receiving this campaign. I want to show you what the statistics look like. But I don't know if it's going to let me into that page, so we're just going to keep going. And the third reason I would use a drip campaign is as I'm meeting people and I'm building my business. So when I'm out selling real estate and when I'm out actually building my business, I want to be able to add people to a campaign and not have to worry about the list of things I need to do for a new person. So I want to make sure that I go out, I meet someone new, I go out, I'm at an open house, I meet a prospective buyer. I can actually just write down their name and email, and I can go in on Monday or whatever day I'm doing my client maintenance, and I can add them to my prospective buyer campaign, and I know they're getting taken care of and what's entailed in that checklist. If you are a manager or an office administrator, I see there's a couple of you on this call. This can be a great way for you to reach out to new agents or agents in your office to keep them up to date with what's going on. So maybe you have a new recruiting drip campaign that is going out monthly to people that you're talking to that are possibly getting into the industry. Or maybe you have a drip campaign for the people that are 2 years or less, checking in with them on a monthly basis or on an interval basis, and you just add them to the campaign and you don't have to remember to do this all the time. So those are really the main reasons that I would use drip campaign. So to create a new campaign, you're going to click on the plus campaign in the upper right-hand corner. And that is going to open up your campaign main edit screen. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to name your campaign. Then what you're going to do is you're going to select, if I could type today, holy moly, you're going to select the content that you want for your first event. So these blank contents means you're going to create everything. You might want to have it be, let's do a portal. So I can actually go in and I can say, I want this to be a portal account. And I can say the email subject is welcome to your portal. I can have it send on. So do you want this to send on a date, a month, a holiday, an interval, a day a week, or a transaction date? If you are doing something like a prospective buyer campaign, best practice is to set it up as an interval. The reason for that is this is going to ask you after X amount of days that you add someone to the campaign, when do you want this to send out? So I'm going to say the interval is after 1 day. And then I'm going to say I want it to send after 10 a.m. so it doesn't look like a robot is sending. And then I can go in and I can say, hey, welcome to this team. Your real estate agent has created an account. I can change all this information if I would like. All my information is down here below. It'll say click here to log into your portal. All of this information is editable. So I can click and I can edit any of this information. Once I've done that, I'm going to click OK. And down at the very bottom, I'm going to click Next. I then have the option to add recipients or not. And if I don't want to add recipients, I just click done. And now what I want to do is go to my personal campaigns, because now I can see my prospective buyer campaign. And if I open it up, I can then add additional events. So I can go in, I can say the category, I actually want to go to my personal content, and I want to add my bio letter from the content that I created. I want this to send after 5 days. And I want it to send after 1:30 p.m. Done. Now I can see this is sending on day 1 and this is sending on day 5. It will list your events in the order they're going in. And once these send out, I will get individual statistics on each event. So that is how you create a drip marketing campaign. Does anyone have any questions so far, or are we feeling pretty good about that information? So we've spent about 10 minutes. We've created some content and we've created a drip campaign. So what I would really encourage all of you to do is at the end of this webinar is look at your calendar for, I will show you, Scott, I'm going to do that in a sec. So what I encourage all of you to do at the end of this webinar is look at what your schedule is for today or tomorrow or next week. What day is it that you're going to go in and you're going to start creating a campaign? And I would encourage you all to create a campaign and to add, as you're starting, 2 events a week. So I'm going to say, hey, Tuesday's my day for e-marketing. I'm going to go in, I'm going to create a buyer campaign, and I'm going to add 3 events to start. And then every week I'm going to add a couple events. So it keeps building that content, and it's not as overwhelming as, oh my gosh, I have to actually go in and add all of this information, and it's just too much. So I don't know why this is not opening. It's super frustrating. But that is how you can do it. I'm going to keep trying to open this. Scott asked, I bet they're doing maintenance. Scott asked to show us our campaign again, and I'm going to work on that. Otherwise, I'll post a snip on the Facebook page of what those campaign statistics look like so that you can actually see the statistics. But building content, I think, is a huge wall that you all face. Like, oh my gosh, I need to create a drip campaign. I don't know what to put in there. I don't know where to start. And I need to build out 100 events right away. Well, you don't. You need to schedule, though, a weekly time to add a few events to each campaign. So you can go in and you can create as many campaigns as you want. People can automatically unsubscribe. It includes all of that information in the email. So if they don't want to hear from you, they can unsubscribe. But some good ideas for campaigns to make are, so do you all have your pen and paper out? Oh, good question, Nikki. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. So some good ideas for campaigns are prospective buyer campaigns, past client campaigns, market updates, important dates, what's going on in our community, why relocate. If I had a why relocate campaign, I would be aiming it towards agents in other markets. But start to really brainstorm. I actually, at my desk, I have paper next to my desk, 2 notebooks, and one of them is an idea notebook that I just write down ideas as I come to them. And then when it's my time to really invest in my business and start creating content and do that, I just go to my idea list and I pick an idea and then I run with it. So if you want to preview an event, so Nikki asked, is there a way, if a campaign is already made for us, is there a way for us to see what the content is? So I can actually go in, I can see there's company campaigns here, and I can see that there is a Thanksgiving campaign, and I can actually go in and you click on the campaign, and then you go to actions and you can say preview. So you can preview every event in that campaign. So I'm going to do that one more time, a little bit slower for everybody. What I did is I went to marketing and then my campaigns. And then what I did is I went to the company campaigns section. I selected a campaign. I just clicked on it. And then once I was in the campaign, I went to actions, preview. So that's how you can see what the company campaign is. Cool. So action plans. What action plans are there, and what do you need as far as creating an action plan? So there's a reason that I went through this webinar this way. So the first step is really going in and creating content and creating campaigns. After you've created some content and your campaigns, it's really easy to go in and create an action plan. And what an action plan is it is how you are setting yourself up for your follow-up with your people. So I can actually go in and I'm going to go to Tools, Preferences, and then I'm going to go to My Action Plans. And I'm going to add an action plan. And I'm going to name it. And you have two action plan types that you can do. You have listings, which is applying an action plan to a thing, or you have contacts and leads, which is applying an action plan to a person. So we're going to do contacts and leads. We have a webinar next month. We are on December 9th, I believe it is. We're doing maximizing your listings, and we'll go through listing action plans at that time. If you want more information on listing action plans, our YouTube channel has a whole bunch of information. So I'm going to say, yes, prospective buyer, contacts and leads, save. That creates the action plan. I can see it here. And then I am going to go in and I'm actually going to just click it and I'm going to open it, and then I can see the details of the items. So I can see that there are no items or no actions in this action plan. To add an action, you click on the plus button in the upper right-hand corner, and then you choose your item type. Is it an automatic system email? Is it a follow-up request? Is it adding them to a campaign, or is it sending out a survey? If it's an automatic system email, you have to have created the content first. And so we're going to say automatic system email is going to be, thanks for coming to my open house. Thanks. I'm just going to name it thanks. Open house. Thanks, open house. The subject line is great to meet you. And I want it to send out 2 days after I add the person in, and I want to send it 20 minutes after I say that. This is so that if you had this set to do immediately, and you met them at the open house, and while you're sitting at the open house, you add them to the system, it's going to send it out 20 minutes after you add them to the plan. So it doesn't look quite as automated as it is. Does that make sense? If you're not asking questions, I'm assuming it's making sense. So please ask questions. Also know that if you have a question, someone else probably has that same question, and there is no such thing as a stupid question. I believe in question asking. So do you want this event to repeat? Yes or no? And who do you want it to send from? Do you want it to send from the system? If you are a team leader or an administrator, you can choose to have it come from the owner of the lead, or do you want it to come from the agent? And who do you want it to send to? I want to send it to the contact or lead. Do you want to be copied or blind copied? And then you have to select your content. So I'm going to click search. It's going to pull up all the content I have created. I'm going to go in. I'm going to say, okay, what category is it in? Or I can go my content or company content. I'm going to say, hey, I actually want to go into lead content. I can say, here's the welcome email. And now that's added. And now I can see this action item added. And I can actually go in and I can create an entire plan. And I can continue to add events. I want it to add to the prospective buyer campaign 5 days after. The campaign is prospective buyer. I can add follow-up requests, monthly check-in. Where are they at? And maybe you have a script that you paste here. Hey, client wanted to check in blah, 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 blah. I want this to be due after 30 days. It's my monthly check-in. Do I want it to repeat? Yes, I want it to repeat after 30 days. And I want it to repeat 12 times. Now I have an action that's going to repeat every 30 days, 12 times. And you choose your follow-up request. When you want to be notified, is it required? Yes or no. This means, can you snooze it or not? If you're an agent, you will not see this blacklist or overdue. You only see that if you're an office administrator. And I click save. I can now see that there's a monthly check-in. And I can continue to add these events. Now, what's really cool is attaching these people. So it's the end of the year. We're in fourth quarter. You all should be writing your business plan. And I know because you're good, qualified agents who are care about your education, that you are making your business plan for next year. So you're actually going in, you're creating your business plan, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to increase my buyer ratio by this much. I'm going to increase my seller ratio by this much. I'm going to work on these plans, and using these action plans to implement that is huge. So now you've created this prospective buyer campaign. I can actually go into my contact, and I can see that this contact is not assigned to any action plans, and I can add them. So I can say, I want this person to be on my prospective buyer action plan. You can add as many action plans to someone as you would like. Once I click process complete and I hit close, let's refresh this. It's going to show actions that I have coming due. Because I don't have a follow-up action for Lyle until the end of the month, because I added one. Remember, I can go in, here it is. My action is due in 29 days. This is an automatic email that's going out. This is adding to campaign that's going to go out. These things automatically happen for you. You only have to do the follow-up actions. So you can actually go in, and it's creating your plan here. It's doing these things for you, and all of your upcoming to-do list items are shown here. So once you create the action plan for your client types and go in and assign them to your clients, the follow-up of when you need to do it and how you need to do it and why you need to do it shows up on your dashboard. So you're working a lot smarter. You're not spinning your wheels. You don't have hundreds of pieces of paper. You're not trying to manage your Google Calendar with your Outlook calendar, with your actual hard calendar that's going up. You're adding someone to an action plan. The system is notifying you when things need to be done, and you're working your plan instead of planning your work. The last thing that I'm going to show you is adding individual tasks. So you can actually go into actions, and you're going to go to your to-do/calendar, and you can actually add individual actions. So I can go in and I can add an event, and I'm going to add it to, I didn't want to add it to that calendar. I'm going to add it to my default calendar. I'm going to add a subject. Maybe it's a home inspection follow-up. You can add a location. So if it's at a certain address or at a certain office, you can just enter that location. And you can have a body. Follow up on this contract's home inspection should have been completed by XYZ. Then you click next. Now I'm going to choose the date and the time. So I'm going to say I want this actually, so my home inspection clause says that it has to be turned in by the 23rd. If I haven't heard back, I need to know by the 23rd at 9 a.m. And I need to make sure that I'm setting an end date and an end time that is different. Is it an all-day event? No. Do I want a reminder? Yes. I want it to be 30 minutes before, and I only want a text to remind me. Is it one time or recurring? Here's the information. I click finish and refresh, and I can then see in 14 days, it should be on a different calendar. It's there. You do need to make sure that you're choosing My Calendar, not your default calendar. The default calendar is a company calendar. You need to make sure you're choosing My Calendar. And then it shows here. It will also show in orange. So your calendar events show differently than other company events. There it is. Question. No, so Sherry, all you have to do is select that you want a text message. So Sherry asked, do I need to go in and let the system know anything in order to use the text reminders? And you don't. So as long as you select, yes, I want to be reminded and I want text reminders, and you have your cell phone number in the system. So you have to have your cell phone number in your profile. Underneath cell phone, and then the system can send you text messages. So this is really the goal of this, is what actions can I take now as we're all headed into this holiday season and the slower time of year for many of us. We all know that there's pros and cons to selling and buying in the winter or in the holiday season, but what can I do now to really set myself up for success in 2019? What action plans, what drip campaigns, what information do I need to set now so that I am super successful come 2019 and I have more free time and I know people are getting followed up with, and I know what is out there and what to do. So there's a really good question that says, Scott asked, that said, would you say campaigns are more for groups and action plans are more for individuals? So there's two parts to that question. So campaigns are really about sharing information. So my campaigns are going to be about reaching out to my people and sharing information with them on how to build their business and what information they need so they can make informed decisions about real estate that involve me. So campaigns for me are about sharing information. Action plans are for you, the agent, and what you need to do to follow up with your people. So action plans are really meant for the agent or the manager to create a task list of following up in an efficient way. So action plans are just that. They're about taking action and following up. Campaigns and creating content are about delivering information. Does that make sense, Scott? Did that answer your question? Yeah, no problem. Scott has been on a whole bunch of these, so he knows that I will answer a whole bunch of questions. There are some of you that are new, I see, that I haven't seen on a few of these. So please know, please know, and Sherry knows that too. There is really no such thing as a silly question, and I really want to answer any question about realistic IQ or about best practice or about how to do this, how to build your business in an efficient way. Scott, that's really kind. Scott said he hasn't stumped me yet. I have been stumped. I do my best to really try and get information out and do my research before I come on these. So if you have a question about like types of content, or do you want to see, should we go through building like an e-card and how that can add in, or how do you add recipients? Like I'm here for the next 32 minutes to answer all the questions you all have. Yeah, so Sherry said, can admins share action plans? So I know two of you on this call are office administrators or managers. How many other people on this call are managers or trainers in your office? Can you just raise your hand? I know Brianna is. Jennifer. Okay, so there's a couple of you. So if you are an office admin or a manager or a training person, you want to create a campaign for your company, you are actually going to go somewhere else to create your action plan. And then, Margaret, I'm going to go through some different types of content that you can create. So you're actually going to go down here to your admin section, and you are going to go to manage your content and create a company action plan. So you create it the same way. You just go to company action plan, and then I can see buyer surveys, new listings, and recruiting. And the way they show up differently underneath the agent action plan is I can tell what I've created by what I can delete. So agents can't delete plans that they haven't created. Does that make sense? So if you create the plan, you can delete it. As a manager, you can create it the same way, but to share it with everyone, you want to just make sure you're going to the admin button. Yeah. So Sherry asked a good question, and Margaret said go through some other types of campaigns that we make. So we're going to do both those things right now. So Sherry, if you wanted to send up a weekly newsletter at the company level that agents can use individually that will be branded to them, what you would do is you're going to go in and you're going to create a company campaign. So under admin, you're going to go to company campaigns and you're going to create a newsletter here. So I'm actually going to create a campaign, a company campaign here. We're going to name it and we're going to call it Weekly News for XYZ Brokers, the best in the world. Okay, now I've created a campaign. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in now. I'm going to open that campaign. I'm in as an administrator, right? Oh, and I'm not in as the right kind of administrator. Dang, my demo site. So that's where you go. I'm super frustrated right now because I should have a little add events, but because I'm in a demo site, if they code something and then I have to wait for them to run the update. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pretend we're in the admin site. We're going to create this campaign though. So you create it underneath admin company campaigns. Agents can access it then underneath here. Look, weekly news for XYZ Brokers, the best in the world. Here it is. If you had company events in here, it would be company events. As an agent, I can add events to this company campaign and then it becomes a personal campaign. Only the events that I add go into my agent event. So I'm going to create the campaign. News, news, news. Then I'm going to create a category. So Sherry asked about a newsletter. So I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to say, hey, I want a newsletter template. Here it is. I can preview the template beforehand if I want to look at it, or I can hit select. Now I'm going to add it. I'm going to say weekly news for November 9th. Send using on date. You can send it using on a date, on a day of the week, on an interval, on a transaction date. So I'm going to choose a date for this because it's a weekly newsletter and it's timely information. So I don't want this to be information that goes out. If it's based on this week, I don't want it to be something I add someone to the campaign and they get November's weekly 9th news on the 30th. So I'm going to choose the date. Active, I'm going to choose the time that I want it to send out. I want to send it out at 11 a.m. Actually, I'm going to send it out at 2 p.m. because everybody knows on Fridays at 2 p.m. nobody works anymore. And then I can edit this. So I can actually say, hey, I want to add an image. So I'm going to select an image. And maybe this is your company logo. And then I'm going to add information. So I can click here and I can add the information. So I can actually say, hey, contact first name, welcome to our weekly newsletter, are excited, blah, blah, blah. And then I can also do this. So you can actually go and Sherry, when you're talking about having it just automatically update to agent information, what you're going to do is you're going to say add to text and you're going to say from agent first name, select. And then it's going to automatically put that agent's name in there. And you can say from agent phone. I want to include their phone number. and I want to include their email. I can't. Oh, yeah, I can. Or from agent email signature. So this is their email signature. Select. Done. It's all in there. Then I click OK. Oh, look, here it is. You add photos. You add information. Maybe you add information from the Association of your local association. I know it was a big election week. Which side of the fence you sit on is none of my business. But maybe you just put a little information. These are your new local representatives. Here's a link to their website. Maybe you do something about your community event. Hey, it's time to do coats for kids, and we're a drop-off location. So you can customize all this information. And then here's my information at the bottom. Next. Add recipients. It works very similarly. I do want to see if I can open that campaign. So Sherry's question is answered. Margaret, let's just go through another type of card that you could send out. So I'm going to say, hey, I want to do this, and I'm going to add another event. Oh. And I'm going to add another event. And I want the event to be, maybe I want it to be a happy birthday card. Here's a happy birthday card. And I want to send it on a holiday or birthday. And I want to send it on their birthday after 8:30 a.m. And then I can put a little greeting in here. And I can click OK. And the system is smart enough because in your client profile, you put their birthday, and I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. It automatically send on birthday, send on November 9th. I can create an event that is based on transaction. So let's do a thank you. Letters, event, thank you. Here's all the thank you cards. I'm going to say, I like this one. I want to send it a month after transaction date at 11 a.m. Thank you. So glad. Can you believe it's been a month? And then I click OK. And now I can see that it's going to send on the transaction date plus 1 month. Isn't that super slick? So where do you put in the birthday and where do you put in the transaction date so these things work? We're actually just going to go into your customer relations. So what I did is I went to customer relations, my contacts and leads. And I'm going to go into my contacts and we're going to look at John. So as I scroll down for John, I can see that there's a place here for their birthday. So you don't have to ask people what their date of birthday is. You can just keep it as 2018. That doesn't matter. So I can see there's their birthday. I also can go down and I can say the last transaction date that I did was this date. And if I want to put the address for the last transaction in, I can. And I can put that information there. And then if I add John to that campaign, the system automatically knows when his birthday is and when his last transaction date was. Scott asked if you can also enter a birthday in for John's wife. So John, are you talking about here where I put in their significant other? If you could add a date for them too. Yeah, so you cannot do that. You would have to enter her in as a separate contact and then enter her birthday in. But you could then just have a birthday campaign. You could just have one campaign that was birthdays, and you could just add all your people to a birthday campaign. Other questions? You did. Sherry asked, can you tether people together, i.e. spouses, so that you know they're together? So you can use this merge feature, but it doesn't tether them. So it doesn't say like, hey, if you update John, it automatically updates Jane. It just makes them one contact. So what I have found works best is I go in, I have all my people in here, and I have a primary contact. So I might have John and his wife Jane in here, and Jane's a part of an email campaign that's going out, but I have a primary contact with that team. And I typically find that most couples, or spouses, sisters, whoever, there's always a decision maker. And it's not always the female and it's not always the male. But in my meetings with the clients, I just have the conversation of, hey, I want to make sure you're both getting in the information. And so we have a couple options. Do you both want to get the information and go through it, or do you want me to send it to one person? And so if they say we both want it, I send it to both of them, and then I just keep track of who's opening it. So I can say, hey, John, and over down here underneath activities, it will show if there's activities, if they're opening things or not. And if they're not opening things, I just send out an email to both of them and say, hey guys, I noticed that John is not opening things. Jane is actually opening it all. And so I really want to make sure that I'm not spamming you. So I'm going to take John off the list and just send to one of you so that you're getting up-to-date information and you're both on the same page. And if they say, no, I don't want to do that, then I say, okay, then we won't do that. But you can add them. So Sherry, you can say, hey, significant other, so that you know who they are, but you can't connect them. You could just put both their names in here. So you could say first name John and Jane Smith and the email, and then you could have a second email. The only time it doesn't work is with this birthday issue. Other questions? Great questions, guys. Sherry asked, if you have a second email, does it send to both? And honestly, that is a stumping question. I need to find out the answer to that. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Scott, I've been stumped. Today is a crazy day. Mark it on your calendars. Kelsey was stumped by a question. I think the answer is yes. My instinct says the question is yes. But I want to make sure I'm giving you real information and not just made up information in my world. So let me find out the answer. I like that you guys are trying to play stump me. I love it. This is how we all get better. So what I want to do is, I'm still here to answer questions, but I know there's some of you on the call, and I don't know if you know that there is an Realistic IQ group. So we do have a Facebook group. It is Realistic Users. You can see it up here in the upper left-hand corner. And if you have questions or want more information, this is really a great place to ask questions about how to do things and how to build your business. And we really want to make sure that you do that. You just go in, you're going to ask to join the group. There's several of us that can approve you to join the group. So this is really the best place to ask questions, because we all go in, we make sure people are getting answered, and we really want to make sure you're getting the information. The other thing I want to show you is our YouTube channel, because a lot of information is here as well. And so we actually have a YouTube channel. It's Realistic Support. This is what you type in. And there are videos that are going up at, usually weekly, as we're building our library, but there's also playlists. So you can go in and you can look at playlists. And if you want to know more about reporting, or about tools and preferences, or about new agent starting guides, or about marketing how-to. So all the short videos on how to do what we did today underneath marketing how-to. But this is where all that information is, and there's a lot of information there for you. So the Realistic Users is a conversation of how do you build your business, and the web or the YouTube channel is really like a how-to quick. I try to keep the videos under 2.5 minutes, and they're in little pieces so that you can go in and really learn and do things and rewatch. We also have a webinar one. So underneath the webinar, all of our webinars get posted here underneath the webinars playlist. Other questions? Dang. I'm going to take a snapshot of what that reporting looks like so that you can see it. And I'll post a picture on the Facebook page. Other questions for everyone? This was a super fast webinar today. I do want to let you know as well about upcoming events. So if you go into the events section on the Facebook page, it actually shows all of our information on what's coming up. So we are doing an IQ 101 webinar, how to use everything in the back office. That is Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We also have a website, how to edit your IQ website, on November 19th, so a week from Monday at 9 a.m. Here's what we're doing today. And then on December 14th, we're doing Maximize Your Listing Toolkit. And I'm actually working with Lyle, the owner, on what the education and training plan looks like for 2019. And hopefully we'll have that up here in the next couple weeks. So we'll definitely have it up before December. But this is where you can go and you can find these events. Anyone can join these events. You just need to register. If you actually go and I want to see the information, the link, where's the link? Here's the link to register. So you just click on the event and you register for the webinar. So Bob asked if I have a video on creating a business plan. Bob, I have a video on how to create or how to use the goals tool. Within IQ Office, there is a goals tool that talks about how many people you need to talk to and how many agents you need to talk to. But I do not have a video based on doing a business plan. So that is a question that I get asked, and I really work with Realistic IQ in the strategy to develop the strategy behind the software and how to use the strategy and how to do that. Business planning is something that's really hard to do as a blanket event, and so it's hard for me to say, hey Bob, here's the video on business planning, and your business plan is going to work the same as Sherry's business plan. It's going to work the same as Scott's business plan. It's going to work the same as Margaret's business plan, because everybody's plan is a little bit different. I can tell you this. Real estate is a numbers game. And so going in and creating an action plan for how you want to follow up with your clients is really the first step. And oh, sure, I'll show you where the goal to. And so really creating, when do you want to follow up with people and how do you want to follow up? And knowing that people have to hear from you 10 to 12 times before they even respond is something to keep in mind. So if I'm following up with a prospective buyer that came to an open house, I am following up with them 5 to 12 times before they even say yes or no. And it's really important that I am consistent in my messaging and not persistent. Persistence is irritating. Being consistent and getting good information and good content out will help you build your business. There is a video on how to do the action plans. Sherry asks where and how to use the goal tool. So let's do that. This is so fun. So you're going to go to your name in the upper right-hand corner of your IQ Office, and then you're going to go to your profile. And then you're going to go to the goals. And underneath the goals, Yeah, no problem, Bob. I hope that answered your question a little bit more. Underneath your goals, you can actually go in and you can say, okay, my living expenses in a year are this. Maybe they're $45,000. And my commission earnings after expenses are, my goal for commission earnings after expenses is, maybe you want to make 100,000. Right? Is that 1, 2, 3? Yep. And my GCI before my expenses is maybe 225. Maybe you have a lot of expenses. And the average sales price at my market is, and the average commission rate per site is, and the number of listings I sold last year. So the number of listings that I listed and sold. Last year was a great year for listings, so maybe I sold 75% of them. And the percent of new listings that you take and close. So I sold 75% of my listings. I took 100 listings and I'm going to make that 60%. How many buyers are you working with? Well, if 75% are sellers and 25% are buyers, I'm going to say that my fallout ratio was 20%. And then I'm going to click this recalculate. And this is what's really cool. So here's my average GCI per side. Here's the number of total sales I need to close. Here's the total number of listings I need to sell. Here's the total number of listings I need to take. Here's the total number of buyers I need to close. And here's the total number of buyers I need to be working with at any time. Isn't that slick? So if I need to be taking 35 listings and working with 9 buyers at all times, that means I need to be talking to minimum of 50 solid leads at a time. That means I need to be talking to a total of probably 30 lukewarm leads that I'm grooming at all times, and 20 people minimum in my sphere of influence at any time, and that I'm continuing to rotate those people through and to build them from one level to the next level to the next level. This goal tool, Sherry, I know you're an office admin, and Scott, I know you are too, is super cool. It's a great way to go through and talk to people about how much money they want to make, what they need to do, what their average price needs to be. And if I were doing this with my agents, I would not make this the average sales price for the MLS. I would make them figure out what their average sales price is. Because there are some people whose average sales price is $90,000 and some people whose average sales price is $300,000. And that makes a big difference in how many sales you have to close. It's super slick, Scott. I love the goals tool. Oh, Sherry, I'm glad you're going to use it. The nice thing is too, is with this goals tool, you can go in and you can actually edit the year. So I can say, okay, I need to do a different year. Scott, it's a great tool to use with your teammate. I read an interesting article for all of you that are still on the call, that talks about writing your goals down. And it's something crazy like, if you are physically writing your goals down and making a goal worksheet, you are like 77% more likely to obtain those goals. And I think that's a really big deal, because it's one thing to talk about your goals and what your plan is and how it works, and it's a total different thing to write down your goals and create an action plan. If you guys could see me, I'm sitting in my home office right now. I actually write all my goals down. I have a big sliding glass door next to my desk, and I write all my goals down in chalk marker on my sliding glass door so that I can adjust them, and they're actually living, breathing goals. And I don't just put my goals down. Like, this is a great financial goals tool, but the other goals that you should be including are personal goals, What are you doing personally? How many vacations are you going on? What are some things that you want to do in your house? What are some things you want to do with your significant other? And then community goals. So you should have financial goals, you should have community goals, and you should have personal goals. And all three of those things need to work together, because as you work those three goals together, you will have a prospering business that you feel good about. That's my 2 cents in my coaching world that I do. 3 things: community goals, financial goals, personal goals. How are you doing? Living, breathing, write them down. Schedule your time for making your drip campaigns and your action plans. By a show of hands, how many of you have written on your calendar what day next week you're going to block out 30 minutes to work on your drip campaigns and your action plans? There's a couple of you. So here's your challenge. Perfect. Sherry's going to do it as soon as you hang up. It is super important to make sure that you're scheduling your time. You're going in, you're writing it on your calendar, you're putting it on your to-do list. Please don't waste the last 55 minutes we have spent together in just 55 minutes of your life. Put it into action. Create your plan. What are you doing for next year to be successful? Oh, Bob, I'm so glad you had a lot of information. Lots of information today. Remember to join our Facebook page. Remember to join our YouTube channel. If you can't find the YouTube page, you can always find me on Facebook, and I am more than happy to add you. Just shoot me a message. My name is Kelsey Anfinson Fulton. I'm actually going to type it into the question box and send it to all of you. So you can find me on Facebook, and I'll be able to add you to the group. You just need to let me know that's why you're adding me. Oh, good, Scott. I'm glad you got 2 pages of notes. Now, put a plan to when you're going to use those notes. Other questions? Please go tell all of your coworkers to sign up for these webinars. It's great to have familiar faces. We really want to help you build your business. The software that IQ has made is really comprehensive software, so you can do everything in one place. That's the goal. That's the reasoning. We don't want you to have to go 8 different places to do things. Oh, thank you, Margaret. Margaret, I have to let you know, I have a niece whose name is Margaret, and I so want to call you Marge. And I just love the name Margaret. Absolutely. The more people that are working on this, oh, she's named after her grandmother too. She went by May for a while, and then by Margaret, and then Maggie, and then some of us now call her Marge. It's a wonderful name. But it is important. The more people that are working on the system, the more we can share ideas, the more we can take good care of our clients. No matter what market you're in, the better reputation real estate agents have as a whole. Awesome. I look forward to seeing hopefully a lot of you on Monday at the webinar. We're going to go through the whole back office system. It will take a full hour, and then I'll hang out for questions afterwards. I hope you have a very successful weekend. I'm looking forward to hearing your plans and answering your questions. Feel free to reach out and ask questions anytime. Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific is when we're doing the IQ office back office overview. I can actually, let's see if I can share this. I'm going to send everybody the link right now in case you would like to join that. And again, we are recording this. It will be posted later this afternoon on the Facebook page and in the YouTube channel. I do work with a couple people who have said they go through the webinar with me live, and then they pick like 10 minutes segments for the next week to actually go through and process all the information and implement it into what they're doing. Other questions? Alrighty, there are no other questions. I want to wish you all a successful weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.